Essays on Untouchables and Untouchability, Social by Babasaheb Ambedkar. Chapter 1 2C. The criminal classes at one time included such well organized confederacies of professional criminals as the Pindharis and the Thugs. The Pindharis were a predatory body of armed gangsters. Their organization was an open military organization of freebooters who could muster 20,000 fine horse and even more. They were under the command of brigand chiefs. Chitu, one of the most powerful commanders, had under his single command 10,000 horses, including 5,000 good cavalry besides infantry and guns. The Pindharis had no military projects for employing their loose hands of irregular soldiery, which developed into bodies of professional plunderers. The Pindharis aimed at no conquests. Their object was purely to secure booty and cash for themselves. General loot and rapine was their occupation. They recognized no rulers and they were subjects of none. They rendered loyalty to none. They respected none and plundered all, high and low, rich and poor, without fear or compunction. The thugs were a well organized body of professional assassins who, in gangs of from 10 to 200, traveled in various guises throughout India, worked themselves into the confidence of wayfarers of the wealthier class, and when a favorable opportunity occurred, strangled them by throwing a handkerchief or noose round their necks, and then plundered and buried them. All this was done according to certain ancient and rigidly prescribed forms, and after the performance of special religious rites, in which was the consecration of the pickaxe and the sacrifice of sugar. They were staunch worshippers of Kali, the Hindu goddess of destruction. Assassination for gain was with them a religious duty and was considered a holy and honorable profession. They had, in fact, no idea of doing wrong, and their moral feelings did not come into play. The will of the goddess, by whose command and in whose honor they followed their calling, was revealed through them through a very complicated set of omens. In obedience to these, they often traveled hundreds of miles in company with or in the wake of their intended victims before a safe opportunity presented itself for executing their design. And when the deed was done, rites were performed in honor of that tutelary deity, and a goodly portion of the spoil was set apart for her. The thugs also had a jargon of their own, as well as certain signs by which its members recognized each other in the remotest parts of India. Even those who, from age or infirmities, could no longer take an active part in the operations, used to aid the cause as watchmen, spies, or dressers of food. It was owing to their thorough organization, the secrecy and security with which they went to work, but chiefly to the religious garb in which they shrouded their murders, that they could continue for centuries to practice their craft. The extraordinary fact was that Thugee was regarded as a regular profession by the Indian rulers, both Hindu and Mohammedan. The thugs paid taxes to the state, and the state left them unmolested. It was not until the British became rulers of the country that any attempt was made to suppress the thugs. By 1835, 382 thugs were hanged and 986 were transported or imprisoned for life. Even as late as 1879, the number of registered thugs was 344, and the Thuggee and the Dacoity Department of the Government of India continued to exist until 1904, when its place was taken by the Central Criminal Intelligence Department. While these open and professional criminals have been suppressed and are no more to exact their toll and disturb the peace, there are still in India communities whose occupation is crime and who are listed by governments as criminal tribes. The criminal tribes live in the plains in close proximity, if not in the midst of civilized life. Before they subsist by organized robbery and dacoity, they are for this reason prescribed by the government of India as criminal tribes. Louis, in his Criminal Tribes of the United Provinces, gives an account of their activities. They live entirely by crime. A few may be ostensibly engaged in agriculture, but this is only to cover up their real activities. Their nefarious practices found more scope in dacoity or robbery by violence, but being a community organized for crime, nothing came amiss to them. On deciding to commit a dacoity in any particular locality, spies would be sent out to select a suitable victim, study the general habit of their villagers and the distance from any effective aid, and enumerate the number of men and firearms. The raid usually took place at midnight. Acting on the information given by the spies, men would be posted at various points in the village and by firing off their guns attract attention from the main gang which would attack the particular house or houses previously appointed. The gang would usually consist of 30 to 40 men. It is essential to emphasize the great part played by crime in the general life of these peoples. A boy is initiated into crime as soon as he is able to walk and talk. No doubt the motive is practical to a great extent insofar as it is always better to risk a child in petty theft, who, if he were caught, would probably be cuffed, while a adult would immediately be arrested. An important part is also played by the women, who, although they do not participate in the actual raids, have many heavy responsibilities. Besides disposing of most of the stolen property, they are also expert shoplifters. The end.